Booktube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. Happy Friday. I am so glad it's Friday. You have no idea. I worked really hard this week. I am still up to my eyeballs in paperwork in 2 different languages, one of which I don't speak or read. But I did get a lot accomplished, and so I'm feeling a little bit like, okay, like we're not gonna have to sacrifice weekends and holidays, hopefully. Between now and the end of July, we'll see what happens. I just wanted to give you like a little reading update, but I don't know what your plans are for the weekend. I'd love to hear about them in the comment section, but I am planning to do some chores that I've been procrastinating on, so I will do that, but I also really want to spend some time just relaxing, vegging out, watching baking shows and movies I've seen a ton, things like that. So, okay, before I get into my reading update, I wanted to share with you a book I found at a little free library. Now, it's a little beat up, but I mean, it was free, and it's a book I didn't know existed. This is Death in the Andamans by MMK. MMK is, for me, like, it will always be about the far pavilions, which I have yet to find a hardcover edition of. I have a paperback edition, but it's pretty beat up. My mother has 2 paperback editions, and they are both in appalling conditions because it's a huge book. It's a huge book about India. MMK also wrote another book, Shadow of the Moon, which I think also happens in India. And my mother has a hardcover of it, and I have basically made her swear to save it for me because I know I'm never going to be able to find it. But I found this hardcover book club mystery book. The dust jacket is a little beaten up, but I just thought this might be fun. Yeah, just when I need like a little mystery. It's not part of a series or anything like that. Apparently she wrote several mysteries set in different places, so I thought this was a pretty good find for a little free library. All right, now brace yourselves everyone. You aren't gonna believe this, but I finally finished a book. It's the first book I finished in June, just to give you an idea of what things have been like. But I did finish reading Fox and I, An Uncommon Friendship by Catherine Raven. So I gave this book 3 stars, and I also went back and checked on my rating for H is for Hawk, which I read earlier this year. And I have now given that book 2 stars. This gets 3 stars because I did enjoy this one more than H is for Hawk. I don't have H is for Hawk because I gave it to one of you. But I think both books were really hyped up to me. I don't know if that's what got in the way. There are things about Fox and I that I do really like. I really like the setting. I felt like I could see it. Part of this is it takes place in Montana. This is my June on the Range adjacent read. Setting I can picture really well, and I feel like where she was living at the time the events in this book take place. She's not living there now, or at least not according to what I could find on the internet. It sounds like she's living in Georgia, which is such a contrast from Montana. But anyway, it seemed like an environment that I could really relate to. I could really picture it. Granted, I think she probably had a better view. Montana is absolutely gorgeous. Wyoming is beautiful, but just in a slightly browner, and it's just a different kind of beauty. And I feel really fortunate to have lived in both places, but I liked the fox. I liked her relationship with the fox. I liked that she didn't ever name the fox. I thought that was important. That there is a separation between ourselves and wild animals, although I think she kind of flips back and forth between how she feels about that. I struggled with some of her tangents. I really felt she went off in some like just strange directions at times that weren't necessary, that weren't as good, as rich as the story of her living on this just patch of land, you know, and interacting with all of these plants and animals on her property. Yeah, so there's some really good stuff in here. Something happens halfway through the book. I'm not gonna say what. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't understand why she thought that was the case. How she came to the conclusion that she did, which then proves to be wrong. I mean, honestly, like overall, I felt like this book basically justifies her writing this book. Does that make sense? Like she comes to the conclusion to justify writing this book in this book. It's very meta in some ways. I also was sad. Like, I feel like Catherine Raven must have had a really troubled growing up and past if she feels like a fox is the first friend that she's ever had in her life. So that was a bit staggering to me. I got on her website, which has not been updated for quite a while, and she did a book signing of this at the Barnes & Noble that Jason and I worked at, and I had my Festival of the Book bookmark in this. I don't know how well you can see it there. This is from 2010, but she did come to Festival of the Book after this was published in 2021, and so that was just kind of a cool, it was wild to think that if I had still been working for Barnes & Noble, thank you that I am not still working for Barnes & Noble, but yeah, I did all the author signings. I handled all of those while I worked for the bookstore, and so yeah, it's a bit crazy to me that like this might have been one of the book signings. So we're gonna hold on to this book. Jason really wants to read it, and which is fine, which is totally fine. I don't know what's going on with me and animal books. I also think it's me and nonfiction, frankly, which is why I will get into my next book. So I was also planning to read this book, Rough Beauty, 40 Seasons of Mountain Living, and I have decided not right now. I need to take a break. I need to take a break from nonfiction, although I still want to finish Mother Angelica's Private and Pithy Lessons from the Scriptures. I'm really enjoying this book. It reads really fast, and I don't have very much left. So I am hoping to finish this before the month is over, so that I can talk to my friend who bought it for me for Christmas. And I don't really, I don't get to talk to people about books very much. So anyway, last night I was like, Kelly, okay, you finished A Fox and I, now what? And I decided not only am I going to read a novel, but I am going to read a middle grade novel. So this is the Book of Three, which I think is kind of a slightly confusing title because it always seems like it should be the third book in the series, but it's actually the first book in Lloyd Alexander's series. Okay, and you guys are gonna have to help me. It's called The Chronicles of Prydain? Prydain? I'm not quite sure how to say that. Isn't this just these books? I have a box set of all 5, and I want to read all 5 this year, and so I'm like, this is a perfect moment. This is the right moment. Something wildly different, just totally 180 degrees from what I've been reading. So I am hoping to chip away maybe at a couple of these this summer. I'd like to read all 5 this year. I read them while I was working for Barnes & Noble, and I loved them. And so before I went on my book buying ban, I guess, if you will, in 2020, I called it a year of reading one's own. In a weird twist of fate, my husband and I decided we were going to buy 1 book each in 2020, and that was going to be it. And then it was like, oh, well, we can't go to a bookstore anyway. So it worked out well for me, but I did buy the box set. I think it was like the last thing I bought in 2019. And I haven't gotten to them, and I really want to reread them and make sure that they're as good as I remember them being, because I just remember loving them. So I plan to spend some time by the bird feeder with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and read this weekend. Yeah, I need something. I need a mental shift. So I would love to know how you're planning on spending your weekend. What are you up to? What books have you been reading for all of the, my goodness, insane amount of events on Booktube right now? So I would love to know what you're reading, what you're enjoying. I'm also hoping to film this weekend my 6-year anniversary video on Booktube. I did a poll on my community page, and so even though the poll is still up, I've decided I'm going to make a video about the 6 best books I've read since I've been on Booktube. And I'm also going to narrow it down to books that I don't think I would have read had it not been for Booktube. So that video will hopefully be up this weekend. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to, I haven't picked out the books yet. I know one of them. I have one of them in mind. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to, I'm not going to pick any Pulitzers because I would have read the Pulitzers anyway. I'm not going to pick something that I read before I joined Booktube. So yeah, so it will be a very, Booktube made me do it kind of video. Anyway, again, I look forward to hearing your thoughts about what I've been reading. Did you love The Fox and I? Maybe you did. Like, that's great. Tell me why it resonated so much for you. Share your thoughts with me down in the comment section. If you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, you can always leave an emoji. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can give this video a thumbs up. It really does help my channel, and so I appreciate that. Booktube, remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.